Hello and welcome to A Day for Nature, the programme where we encourage you to take just one day out of your holiday to appreciate the nature that's quite often right on your hotel doorstep. And this time, we're in sunny Spain. In this programme, I'm on a quest for coral with the help of Sue Daly, an award-winning programme maker who specialises in underwater documentaries. In part 2, we visit the tiny channel island of Sark, famous for no cars and of course an abundance of wildlife that, according to Sue, exists below the water as well as above. But first off though, and our quest for coral brings us here to Benidorm. Benidorm? Isn't that more famous for sun, sand, sea and the Great British Pub? Well, of course it is. And the packed beaches of Poniente and La Venta are testament to the ongoing success of this popular tourist resort on the Costa Blanca. Thanks to the charter flight boom of the 70s and 80s, it became the first major holiday town in Spain, and is well known for the wildlife that continues through the night in the hundreds of bars, clubs and discos. True, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but let's face it, 5 million visitors every year can't be wrong. But you know, it's amazing the diversity of unspoilt places and wildlife that's always just around the corner. Calpe isn't quite as fortunate as Altea. It's suffered the same fate as many of the towns along the costas and has been somewhat overbuilt. But nevertheless, it does offer enough wildlife both above land and underwater to qualify for a short trip out from Benidorm to take a day for nature. And it's here our quest for coral begins. But before we reach the coast, which just lays the other side of those hotels, I've discovered this wonderful natural brackish lagoon that's attracted a whole flock of rather large pink waders, more commonly known as flamingos. Sometimes you don't even have to leave your hotel to find exotic species. Imagine the grandstand view of these beautiful flamingos from those balconies over there. Lagoons like these attract all manner of wildlife, and to see such pink flamingos here is evidence that there's plenty of shrimp to feed on, as it's their food source that gives them their distinctive pink colour. The best place to find them in Spain is the saltwater lake of Fuente de Piedra in Andalusia, where you'll find as many as 1,600 pairs of flamingos arriving in January or February to breed. They are funny looking birds, especially in flight. There are only 2 dozen here, but still fascinating to watch. I think the residents of Calpe are very lucky to have this bunch. They need to protect their environment or they'll simply disappear forever. Believe me, they won't come back. What I find worrying is the rate of construction here. Just around me I can see 8 big building sites. Surely something has to be done to protect these wonderful little places for nature. Well, I'm pleased to say that there is. Spain, it seems, has learnt a lesson the hard way, and now there are many people protesting to defend places like Calpe from any further construction work. It has already protected its largest asset, the towering rock, Peñón de Afache, which reaches an impressive height of 332 metres above the sea and is now a protected nature reserve. I've arranged to meet my friend Sue Daly at this great vantage point of the sea.
As the crow flies, we're about 10 miles north of Benidorm at a place called Calpe, and this lump of rock here is protected as a national park for the wildlife here.
These national parks are wonderful places to spend a day. The energetic can climb to the summit, where on a clear day you can actually see the island of Ibiza. But today, our mission is to prove that coral can actually exist in this part of the Mediterranean, a sea that is not generally known for its great underwater values. Actually, it was Sue's suggestion that we came to look for coral here in the first place. So I'm intrigued. Why Spain and why coral?
Spain, because it's a fantastic place to come on holiday. It's very easy to get here. There are flights from all over the UK. And coral, because for me it's one of the most special creatures we can see underwater. It's just got that air of exoticness about it.
This is so lovely. It's got that lovely Mediterranean blue. It's tempting, isn't it? I just want to get in there now.
Yeah, you can see from up here really just how clear it is. This little patch down here, this little dark area, is where there's a beautiful archway that we're going to dive, which hopefully should have plenty of fish hanging around underneath it. And right off the point there, the seabed drops down. It follows the shape of the rock and drops down much, much deeper. And it's much more exposed to the current. And that, with any luck, is where we should start seeing some of the corals.
Our quest for coral is that way.
It's that way, yes.
This is the first of 2 dives. Sue is a much more experienced diver than I, and our first time in the water is on a shallow dive to one of the most popular sites in Calpe. These are the arches at Los Arcos. These amazing archways under the sea were formed by boulders falling from the Peñón and provide shade and homes for all sorts of marine life, including damselfish, wrasse, sea bream, moray eels and scorpionfish. I love the freedom underwater. It's the closest experience to weightlessness. It's almost a feeling of flight. It's so easy just to drift and explore a world that's so different to ours above water. The downside is that you're limited on time underwater, and getting back onto a rib with cameras, tanks and weights can be an exhausting experience. But then I discovered another plus on my arrival back on board.
Traditional.
Are we allowed a beer now?
After diving, we're allowed plenty of beers.
It is a wonderful experience to get down there. The freedom is just fantastic. From a sort of a photographer's point of view, you can just sort of float around and admire the scenery as it goes past. It's lovely. The diving centre at Calpe is Les Bassettes and offers instructions for beginners in the bay and dives for the more experienced and adventurous divers down to 35 metres in impressive caves and caverns.
You can come from Benidorm to here within 30 minutes. Never have done scuba diving before. We take you into the bay here, and your first experience of the water, you can see anything from octopus to moray eels to stingrays. You can see everything, and everything the qualified divers see, you can see for the first time. We tend to have quite a good population of fish life around here. The Peñón is a good nursery for the young fish, and of course that then brings in the schools of bigger fish who are looking for something to eat.
It's early the next morning, and with great visibility and calm seas, we descend at the base of the Peñón. It's quite a deep dive, but very rewarding. Here, just as Sue had promised, these strange creatures, coral, are very much alive and kicking. I can see the attraction, and with a growth rate of less than 1 centimetre a year, this white fan coral is a very splendid specimen indeed. After the break, our quest for coral continues, somewhere surprisingly much closer to home. But I can promise you, a view just as stunning.